Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my dearest readers. My name is Grimoire Index, and today we are going to be continuing our journey from SCP 8980, and we are continuing with 7777. Or SCP 7777. I hope you all are doing well, as I am gesticulating towards the camera. Oh boy, these past couple of days have been a lot, but I'm glad that you are here with me today. Do you need a refresher on what happened? Excuse me. Do you need a refresher as to what happened last Sunday? Well, even if you don't need a refresher, here's one anyway. So, if you did not remember, SCP-8980 was a woman who was essentially gaslit into, not really believing, but she was gaslit and abused into believing that she was an SCP, to the point of every system put in place completely failing her at every single turn. It was heartbreaking, menacing, and frankly made me hate the SCP organization a lot. That was horrible. But today is a day about revenge. Because from what I understand, this SCP-7777, is about to give us the closure that we needed so very much. If you like SCP style stories, or if you enjoy SCPs, every Sunday we read about SCPs here, and maybe we have a little discussion here and there. Hello. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Are you comfortable? But yeah, today we're going to be reading SCP-7777, and hopefully we'll get our blood. If not, I'm boiling Dewey if we do not get blood. That's right. You're gonna go, I'm making you into a pot pie. I will make you into a pot pie if we do not get our blood. As you can see, we're not on the SCP archives anymore. It looks like we're on the Records and Information Security Administration archive. So, that's something. As you can see, I'm a little tired today, as life in general has been quite tiring. Obsidian Soul, hi! Welcome in. Welcome. I hope you're ready for revenge, because I'm ready for revenge. Oh my goodness. Are you all comfortable? Have you all had your dinner and are all comfortable in your homes, respective domiciles, I guess? Have you had your blood? I hope that this story can provide just a little more. I'm eating dinner right now. What is everybody eating for dinner today? I miss human food. Ooh, ribs and broccoli cheddar soup with the stuffed potatoes. I loved when I could eat human food. I loved some broccoli cheddar soup. The potatoes are stuffed. You stuffed the potatoes with the broccoli cheddar soup? What? What? That's amazing. Like, that is literally, I have never heard anyone do that. I've heard of a bread bowl, but never a potato bowl. That is innovation right there. Well done. And you get little boats, and you can like make little little masts and stuff with like a little breadstick and the cracker. You can make like a little sailboat. It'd be very cute. I saw a TikTok about it. LMAO, I can't take credit for it. It's fine. It's fine. You can take credit for it today. It sounds delicious, and if I could still eat human food, I would enjoy it. Well, I can. Well, ooh, the ribs were all meat too. Delicious. Well, I will say that while I'm here, physically in the library, Paradoxica, I can enjoy some human food. It can't be in my system when I leave the library. And recently I've had to leave to return, I wouldn't say return, but collect books. And once I leave the premises of the library, my vampirism override happens. So if I'm not in a shady area, or if I've had human food recently, it will expel itself from my body. Just like the sun wants to expel me from the earth if I'm too far away from the library. Now mind you, I am old enough that the sun does not immediately make me combust. It's just a very, very horrible skin burn for a couple of weeks, and then maybe after a month or two in sunlight, like direct sunlight, I will combust into a fiery, blazing death. It's not fun, but yeah, it takes a while, but it's generally not great. What I'm saying is, if you come by the library with a plate of ribs and those little potato boats with broccoli cheddar soup, I will be able to enjoy them. Next time, well, that's right. What do they say? What do they say? Save me a plate? Save me a plate. I'll bring my own Tupperware. It'll be the only ones in your cabinetry that'll be pink. Alrighty. I hope you all are ready. Okay, let's begin, shall we? Oh my. SCP-7777. Access specific information. The following document contains one addendum that is rahasia 4, clearance classified. Any information enclosed within the classification addendum is forbidden to communicate with any external parties. By accessing this information, you agree to keep any knowledge gained confidential or risk demotion or termination of employment. Oh, right. The background music might need turning down just a touch. Sure. I only just registered it. Sorry. Okay, just a moment. Thank you for letting me know. I was too focused on the chocolate biscuit. I don't know how the chocolate biscuit would stop you from hearing, but might be a human thing. Chocolate. Okay, is that better? Okay, you can be offended later. Is that better? Human. How dare? I mean, you guys can be human sometimes. You all have human forms, you just don't show them to the humans. Well, I mean, technically you're demons. All of the crows are demons, so technically it would be more like a demon human form? I don't know. What do you call it? What do you all call it? Anyway, by accessing this information, you agree to keep any knowledge gained confidential or risk demotion or termination of employment. Human meat suit form, not the meat suit form. Oh my goodness. Item number SCP-7777. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Following the events outlined in Addendum 3, this file is solely accessible to individuals with 4+ ethics or 4+ rasa clearance. The file occupying the wider Foundation SCP-7777 slot is not to contain any of this file's agenda or its image. Furthermore, it must contain minimal information regarding the anomaly itself or its true containment procedures. Description: SCP-7777 is an anomalous phenomenon affecting random number generators, or RNGs, utilized by the SCP Foundation. SCP-7777 can manifest in any RNG that both continuously creates output and is not, at the time of manifestation, being monitored directly by a sapient individual. It should be noted that SCP-7777 appears to affect pseudo-random number generators and true random number generators equally. When an RNG comes into the effects of SCP-7777, it will immediately begin to produce a series of 7s interspersed with zeros at seemingly random intervals. This will continue for an unspecified duration before abruptly ceasing. After an SCP-7777 event concludes, the RNG will continue to output as normal, with no detectable differences. Thus far, the meaning behind SCP-7777, if any, is unclear. See below. Addendum 1. Discovery. SCP-7777 was initially discovered on January the 20th, 2018, following the presumed malfunction of a CK class scenario detector, or a CSD. The device's internal pseudo-RNG had deviated slightly from its synchronized counterpart, indicating a Class CK, or class scenario, had occurred. When technician Dave Silverstein, who was nearby at the time, checked the CSD P-RNG output, he discovered an abnormal pattern consisting entirely of 7s and 0s, and reported it to a colleague. Dr. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Give me just 1 second. This is important, I swear. Coughing up phlegm. Nobody asked you about that, VoiceMod. Listen. Excuse me. Excuse me. Soundboard, please. Thank you. He reported it to a colleague. Dr. quickly informed the other members of his research team stationed in Site 17, including a member of the Department of Analysis, senior researcher. I think the sensor noise is a little bit better for this. Who requested Dr. receive a copy of the PRNG's output. With the assistance from Davis, they were able to copy the anomaly-generated numbers onto a separate drive and forward the information to the Department of Analytics. The phenomenon was classified and cataloged provisionally as E7707077. Faced with a number of urgent assignments, the department relocated EE770707 to a low priority. As a result, the phenomenon was not researched for an additional 3 weeks until Dr. requested a follow-up. As senior researcher was off-site, the assignment was given to junior researcher. After attempting various methods of analysis on the data, eventually determined that the number of 7s between each 0 present in the pattern never exceeded 255. Under the assumption that the numbers may be referring to the value of bytes, they translated the values into IC characters. The following is the resultant message. Site Director Franklin Garnett murdered Teresa Booth on March 11, 2003 by replacing her medication with compound Y909 and framing it as an amnestic overdose? What? Upon decoding the message, panicked and emailed the Department of Analytic Ethics liaison Flora Marinos. After several hours, liaison Marinos read the email and immediately reported the findings to the Ethics Committee proper. The Ethics Committee launched an investigation into Site 85 Director's Franklin Garnett, as Teresa Booth was indeed confirmed to have died from severe Class C amnestic overdose March 11, 2003. The Department of Information and Security Administration, RASA, was tasked with locating the exact origin of the report. The official explanation for the death at the time was that Dr. Booth had suffered from a traumatic sibling loss 1 month prior and unsuccessfully tried to use Class C amnestics to erase the memories of how they died. However, review of archived security camera footage revealed that approximately 3 minutes of footage were removed from various tapes, including the hallway directly outside Dr. Booth's living quarters on the day prior to her death. With this knowledge, the ethics community suspended Dr. Garnett's clearance provisionally as the investigation continues. However, short thereafter, Dr. Garnett noticed the change and began to flee the site unsuccessfully. Later, when detained, he confessed that he had indeed murdered Dr. Booth in order to prevent her from coming forward to the ethics community with embezzlement charges against him. In light of the confession, all pay was deducted from Franklin Garnett's foundation accounts, and he was amnesticized and removed from the foundation permanently. Since the event, 37 new instances of SCP-7777 have appeared in Foundation RNGs. Addendum 2. Abridged log of SCP-7777 instances. The following is an abridged list of SCP-7777 instances that the ethics community has recorded since the initial discovery of the anomaly. Instance ID 77772. Date February 3rd, 2018. Instance 2 appeared in a PRNG being run alongside SCP-1214 squared? Oh no, that's a footnote. 1214 is a pseudo-random character generator which eventually deviates from random generation and produces predictable and coherent sentences. During the tests by the Department of Analytics to determine the differentiation between the differentiation. Words are very hard today. Differentiation between SCP-1224 and standard RNGs. The code was translated and then sent to Liaison Marinos, who in turn forwarded it to the Ethics Committee proper. Translated text. Senior researcher Jackson Bell sexually... Oh! Wow, this is terrible. Is that okay to say? Can I say that? I guess it's fine. Senior researcher Jackson Bell sexually assaulted a female researcher during the Site 18 2016 Christmas party. Follow-up action. The Ethics Committee determined that the events described in fact occurred publicly, but due to the senior's position, no one had reported the incident to an authority. Bell had denied the incident had occurred even after recorded archive footage came to life. He has since been barred permanently from the Foundation community events and is undergoing a long-term correctional therapy with a pay reduction. The victim has been identified and compensated. Number 3. This is February 26, 2018. Instance 3 appeared in a similar manner to Instance 1 within a CSD. That is, it is believed that the high frequency of consistently generating PRNGs used in CSD made them a susceptible target to SCP-7777's influence. Technician Davis Silverstein was present and intercepted the device, which was decoded and sent to the Ethics Committee through Liaison Marinos. Translated text. Containment Specialist Sophia Rosero falsified her credentials and plagiarized stolen designs from her coworkers. Follow-up action. Evidence at first hand suggested that Rosario was fully knowledgeable and capable of containment specialization, and no former co-workers of Rosario claimed that their designs had been stolen, suggesting that the SCP-7777 instance may not have been factually correct. However, at Liaisons Marinos' insistence, further research was conducted, and it was discovered that various minor inconsistencies existed within Rosario's identification documents, suggesting it was falsified. Rosario was interrogated on March 2nd. During the initial questioning, she began to hyperventilate and convulse before spontaneously collapsing. Before medics could arrive, Rosario was confirmed dead. Autopsy revealed that she had consumed a cyanide pill, Her true identity has yet to be confirmed. Since her death, 3 containment specialists have come forward to corroborate that Rosario had stolen designs from them and passed them off as her own. This entry has been expunged by the order of O5 Council. 6. This is May the 2nd. 2018. Discovery. Instance generated during the production of a number for the consumption of SCP-Y. SCP-Y is the Y. What is this? Y. What is the Y symbol? Is that like, what is the? Because I think that might be like a Greek letter. I don't remember what the Y is. I remember Alpha, Beta, Omega. I don't remember what this Y is, but we're gonna skip it. SCP, we're gonna go with SCP-Y, is the set for all non-existent numbers. Occurring every approximate rotation of the Earth, it must be fed a number of incredibly large size to prevent it from consuming a random, likely smaller number. Translated text. Accountant Gregory Chaplin allowed various monetary crimes to occur due to negligence in bookkeeping important projects. Follow-up action. Chaplin admitted to negligence in their duties, claiming that they did not intend any ill will and merely had higher priorities. After some discussion, they agreed to forward their communication and financial records to the ethics community and transfer their current responsibilities to other accounting personnel. However, they were reassigned to another job. 058 requested to before they were reassigned to another job, 058 requested to transfer Chaplin themselves, which was approved. Additional notes. Kaplan's current location and occupation within the Foundation are not known. Google just says why. It's just a fancy why. Why? Oh, man. Instance 13. October 8th, 2008. Dr. forwarded Instance 13 to Liaison Marinos. They claim they had run an RNG on their personal laptop for over 3 months straight until an SCP-7777 instance occurred. Translated text. Site Director Thomas Graham vandalized SCP-4051's containment chamber with the phrase "dumb anomaly idiot" to intentionally provoke him into breaching. Security camera footage of SCP-4051's containment chamber revealed that the event described in SCP-7777's instance did occur. SCP-4051 is a teenager capable of manifesting portals to interdimensional spaces containing any item SCP-4051 is capable of comprehending. That is scary. We still didn't have time to fix RoboCrow. I'll get to it this weekend. However, investigating ethics committee personnel accidentally discovered at least 24 unethical and unintentional cruel experiments conducted under order by Graham against SCP-4051. In the process, in-depth probing revealed that this abusive behavior not only extended to SCP-4051 4051, but various other anomalies and researchers as well. Further analysis of the prior 8 years that Graham had been in charge of Site-17 showed that he had committed numerous crimes against the Foundation, including, but not limited to, homicide, assault, embezzlement, bribery, extortion, verbal and physical abuse, perjury, gross misuse of amnestics, and conspiracy, among other violations of Foundation code and conduct. Oh, it looks like it's time for ads. So, if you want to dodge the ads, consider becoming a Ghoul, Ghost, or Ghast. You get a fun, cool role in the Discord, and you get a little bit more of a look behind the curtain. That being said, it's completely okay to watch those ads, but yeah. Or if you want to pad my YouTube hours, feel free to hop over there. YouTube will gladly keep you prepared for those ads. Also, all of these people are terrible. SCP reading. Yep, it's Sunday. Happy SCP Sunday. All of these people are terrible. Like, especially this dude. I remember this guy. He was the one that was in 8089. Sorry, not 8980. SCP-8980. Just terrible. This one is 7777. It's the random number generator that is, as the kids say, clocking everyone's teeth. Huh? Huh? Did I say it right? Huh? 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 Okay, sorry about that. I had to send one of my family members a quick GIF. But yeah. Oh man. In case you weren't here last time, SCP 8980 was a very depressing look into the dealings of Site-19. It was so... Sorry, not Site-19. Site-17. It was... It was unbelievable. To put it bluntly, to put it as simply as possible, essentially this kind of young upstart joins the SCP department, a lady. She joins the SCP department, and her superior sees how she is a young, intelligent woman, and somehow she gets an SCP status on her. She becomes an anomaly, and as such, he starts like mistreating her, like, and all of it's fake, all all of the tests and everything, like all of the classification, it's all fake, but she can't do anything about it because he holds all the cards. And every time, every chance that the Foundation could have helped her, it, like, at every turn, everything failed her. Everything. To the point where she had her brain wiped. And she was horrified of computers and everything. And finally, when someone stepped in to try and help her, even then, she couldn't even get justice. It was too late. And the person that, like, helped her most, he even started to resent her in the end. This is the article that followed afterward. I suggest, if you all intend to read that article, have some cute animals nearby. Make sure to take care of your mental health. And welcome back, everyone. Let's continue. Followed chronologically, but as the SCP's number indicates, this was actually written first as a fun fact. Shh. Quiet, you. But thank you for letting me know. What did I do? Chronologically, it was written first. Thank you for letting me know. It just reminded me of, like, actually. Alright, let's continue. When faced with these charges, Graham denied all of them and demanded that the O5 Council intervention, which was promptly denied. Graham then attempted to assault a stationed security officer, who quickly detained him. Graham has since been removed from his position and assigned permanent D-Class status. Additionally, Site-17 has been placed under the Direct Ethics Committee control, and all affected anomalies and researchers have been provided with compensation and given optimal free use of on-site psychological counseling. Additional notes. Despite the well-documented existence of all Graham's crimes, no on-site personnel had come forward with complaints beyond the first 4 years of Graham's tenure as site director, including post-demotion. It is unclear why SCP 7777 highlighted this specific crime. I hate that word. Particular crime. Instance ID 17. January 1st, 2019. During Site 42's New Year's celebration, a raffle was held for various prizes via a ticket system. Midway through the celebration, various participants noted that all raffle codes were comprised of 7s and 0s. When a present ethics committee liaison discovered this, they halted the distribution of the tickets, which were unusable regardless, and forwarded all of the tickets they could find to the ethics committee proper. Although some tickets were missing, the context could be extrapolated from the missing values when translated into ASCII. Translated text. Dr. Theron Sherman attacked junior researcher Roger Radcliffe on September the 12th, 2018, in Site 42's break room. Roger Radcliffe, when asked, did corroborate this claim. However, both physical and written records showed that Dr. Sherman was not present in Site-42 when the supposed attack occurred. As a result, no further action was taken, despite Radcliffe's protest. See instance 77.7.18 for context. Instance 18. Instance 18 appeared in a CSD, which was discovered by junior technician Carney Amaru Waters. Avaramu. It should be noted that Technician Waters' senior advisor was David Silverstein, prior to be transferred to a separate site on November 20th, 2018. Translated text. Junior researcher Roger Radcliffe attempted to frame Dr. Theron Sherman using a falsified SCP-7777 instance. Follow-up action. Although Radcliffe denied the charge, investigation has determined that the junior researcher entered managerial spaces and replaced the raffle tickets with their own. Radcliffe has been placed on leave for 3 months. Additional notes. This is the first instance which SCP-7777 references itself in its accusation. SCP-7777's containment procedures have been updated. Entries have been expunged by the order of O5 Council. Instance ID 26. Date December 13th, 2019. Discovery. The Astronomy Department discovered abnormal fluctuations in the luminosity of the Pleiades star cluster. Although not originally linked to SCP-7777, analysis of the phenomena by relevant researchers accidentally uncovered the corresponding instance's message on March 1st, 2020. The department forwarded its findings to the Ethics Committee shortly thereafter. Translated text. Thaumaturgist Diana Ribeiro casts thaumaturgic spells on various Department of Tactical Theology researchers in an attempt to send them to Abrahamic hell when they died. Ethics Committee Liaison Marianos inquired the validity of the claim to Ribeiro, who confirmed that she had indeed been casting spells in an attempt to send fellow DOTT members to Abraham Kell when they eventually died. After intense deliberation, it was determined that the success of these spells could not be validated, and that nothing in the Ethics Committee guidelines explicitly disavowed spells that did no physical or mental harm. As such, Ribeiro would not be charged with any violations and be allowed to continue working at the Department of Tactical Theology. Additional notes. Other observatories focused on the Pleiades cluster did not find any abnormal fluctuations in their luminosity. Data expunged by the order of O5 Council. Instance number 32. July 11th, 2020. Instance 32 had appeared in a CSD. Technician Dave Silverstein caught and reported the instance to the Ethics Committee via Liaison Marinos. Director Calvin Bolt murdered a 6-month-old baby by kicking it into a wall. The child in question was the anomaly 6469D. SCP-6469-D, prior to its neutralization, was an entity that appeared as a human child which manifested before disasters occurred. Whether the child's appearance was causative or not is still unclear. Which was decommissioned by Director Calvin Bold, as the child possessed a threat to the existence of the Foundation and the Veil, and the actions taken by the Director Bold have been deemed appropriate for the circumstances, and charges were subsequently dropped. Instance ID 33, August 9th, 2020. Instance 33 appeared in a CSD. Technicians Davis Silverstein caught and reported the instance to the Ethics Committee via Liaison Marinos. Translating text. Ethics Committee member Jeremiah Sinnerman intentionally fabricated the SCP-6469 anomaly to protect Director Calvin Bold. Follow-up action. Jeremiah Sinnerman was recused from their case and complied with the Ethics Committee investigation. After questioning, Sinnerman revealed that they had indeed fabricated the 6469 anomaly to prevent the demotion of Director Bold after unintentionally killing a fellow researcher's child, mistaking it for an anomaly. He became aware of this event after Bold messaged him in a post-panic murder. Sinnerman also embezzled funds to pay the father of the child, informing them in the process that it was not a bribe and that they can press charges if they so wish. The researcher didn't bring further charges to the Ethics Committee, both prior to Instance 33, nor after being asked if they wished to by the Ethics Committee prior. Sinnerman was discharged from the Ethics Committee after investigation, but has not been removed from the Foundation employment. Additional notes. As of November 5th, 2020, Sinnerman has not been able to be located. Attempts to find them have yielded no results. RASA records appear to have been altered during this time from an unknown outside source. Instance number 37. Discovery. Instance 37 is believed to be initially manifested in a CSD. Technician Dave Silverstein Sumerian. I hope they were cool with that. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry, Sumerian. I'm so sorry. No. Grim says it wrong once again. Anyway, Technician Davis Silverstein had informed Liaison Marinos of another instance, but was unable to deliver the instance due to the events described in Addendum 3. Translated text unknown. Follow-up action. See Addendum 3. Addendum 3. Site breach. On May 16th, 2021, Site 14 came under attack by a hostile group of interest, believed to be the Chaos Insurgency. The site security was quickly overwhelmed. However, thanks to the unexpected presence of the mobile task forces in the area, the site was retaken relatively quickly. During the retaking of the site, the following incident occurred. Time approximate 1500 local. May 16th, 2021. Site 14, Employee Break Room A4. The break room is under lockdown. As per standard procedure, all researchers are taking shelter under objects, such as tables or chairs. Alarms are audibly blaring, and the room is darkened to reduce visibility. A loud banging sound can be heard outside one of the break room doors, the intensity increasing as the door begins to rattle. The personnel within the room begins to whisper with increasing panic. The door breaks in, and a chaos insurgency agent equipped with an MP7A1 firearm enters the room. Run's researcher begins screaming as the agent raises the firearm to point at the personnel and demands that they leave their positions under the furniture and line against the back of the wall of the room. All personnel comply. The agent approaches the first faculty member, researcher Huang Bai, and demands to know their full name. The researcher complies, and the agent moves to the next individual in line, repeating the request. Approximately 2 minutes of repeating this process, the agent reaches technician Davis Silverstein, who tells the agent his name. The agent immediately draws their weapon and shoots Silverstein repeatedly. Other personnel flee. The agent ignores them and continues to fire into Silverstein's corpse until their entire magazine is exhausted. The agent attempts to leave but is interrupted when MTF member Charis Starvos enters the room. Upon seeing Silverstein's corpse, Starvos attacks and apprehends the agent. Starvos, during tactical communication with other task force unit, notice the agent begin to hyperventilate and shake. The Starvos quickly produced SCP-427. This is a locket capable of healing illness quickly, but if used for too long can cause intense mutation. From a standard anomaly transport unit they possessed and applied it to the agent, stabilizing their condition. The agent was discovered to have attempted suicide via cyanide pill, but was prevented from doing so. Agent Starvos has been transporting SCP-427 to Site 12 when their task force was called to intervene. Nearly all Chaos Insurgency elements either fled the scene or were killed in action. The aforementioned agent was placed into forced long-term medical care and was restrained heavily to prevent further suicide attempts. On June 15, 2021, Ethics Committee took possession of the Chaos Insurgent agent. At this time, it was expressly forbidden for the Ethics Committee personnel to place themselves in proximity of a hostile force. This action had been performed in secret. For the following 3 weeks, the Ethics Committee attempted to interrogate the agent about their identity and their actions during the raid, but were incapable of soliciting useful information. However, a breakthrough was discovered when the genetic material of the agent returned a match to the Ethics Committee's database of Foundation employees. The agent had a near-identical match to MTF Alpha 1, Justin Boole, who was still under Foundation service. A further examination of archived Chaos Insurgency agent genetic data revealed further matches with current and former members of MTF Alpha 1. It is believed that this was not discovered earlier due to the aforementioned policy, the Ethics Committee holding the employee information of all Foundation personnel, and a lack of incentive to compare CI agents to Foundation personnel. During this time, Russia has taken possession of Technician Silverstein's belongings, including his personal laptop, which contained and SCP uh 77777 instance 37. After decoding this message, the text reads as follows. 056 is planning to murder technician Davis Silverstein. Due to the discovery involving Alpha 1, SCP 777737 instance and the prior interference of SCP-7777 documentation, RASA concluded with the Ethics Committee to intercept an upcoming O5 Council session in Site 1 and hold overseers for questioning. On July 17th, 2021, Mobile Task Force Omega-1 breached Site 1 and attempted to detain the 13 overseers, capturing 7. Interrogation revealed that the O5 Council had been employing the Red Right Hand to capture SCPs for their personal benefit, which would have been forbidden by the ethics community otherwise. The remaining 6 overseers' locations are not known. Since July 21st, 2021, the Ethics Committee has taken direct control of the SCP Foundation until the full extent of the damage done to the Foundation can be assessed and repaired. Containment procedures for SCP-7777 have been updated. Addendum RASA 4, Internal Memo. And since then it has remained that way. The above file is a mess of conflicting redactions, misleading information, and version conflict. It is the general mission of RASA to attempt to resolve these issues and present a cohesive, streamlined document for future onboarding of researchers. Furthermore, we ensure all proper parties are informed of relevant information and ensure breaches of security are handled and dealt with. This file is to remain a permanent exception to our mission. A lot of things haven't really sat right with me since we first started looking into this anomaly. Why are some staff consistently involved in the discovery of these instances? Why did 056 attempt to assassinate a random lowly technician? Why did no one report any of the crimes before the anomaly announced them? And why are so many reluctant to speak up even after? But after everything fell into place, we confiscated that laptop. After examining the evidence, there is only one reasonable conclusion I can arrive at. SCP-77777 does not exist. SCP-7777 represents a coordinated effort between Silverstein, Marinos, and other facility members whose names I've taken the liberty of expunging to create a platform to whistleblow the Foundation's corruption. Using various tactics, they successfully managed to fool the majority of the Foundation's leadership, including the ethics community and even us for a time, into believing that SCP-77777 is real. Anomalous phenomenon which cannot be controlled. Only recently have some of us caught on, including the at-large 05-6, who attempted to uproot the project at its source, completely unaware his plan had already been compromised and used it to trigger his own downfall. Nonetheless, the Ethics Committee is completely in the dark about SCP-7777's true nature. I intend to keep it this way. I have no reason to suspect that their intentions aren't as pure as they'd like us to believe. Much of our data on what occurred have been through their reports, and they conveniently like to paint a pretty picture that the Ethics Committee overthrew a corrupt O5 Council. But a whistleblowing service wouldn't be necessary to begin with if the Ethics Committee was actually fighting corruption. I don't think we're getting the full story here. The missing employees, the coincidental possession of SCP-427, and that one conspicuous database infiltration seem to point to the fact that the Ethics Committee is playing their own game. With the O5 Council now eliminated, I have no clue what they intend to do with the Foundation as their sole executive power, but I doubt with the pieces we've been able to put together that it's remotely good. Fortunately, SCP-77777 has given us a weighted 7-sided die. and I intend to leverage it with all the power Rasa can muster. While the Ethics Committee has been creating their conspiracy, we've been creating our own. And I think it's time we excise the bad apples from our rotten bunch. Reach out to me when you're ready. We'll have much to discuss in the coming days. Maria Jones, Director of Research and Information and Security Administration. Okay. Wow. Time to clean house. Get him out. Get him out, get him out, get him out. Get him out, get him out, get him out. That. I don't know. I feel. I mean. So 8980 is confirmed by the author to be one of the redacted cases. Okay, so there's more. There's more. They were hiding more of them. I mean, in a way, I feel like it's kind of bittersweet. I like that dude was made D-class. Yeah, I like that he was made D-class. It's kind of good. I like that a lot. Oh my goodness. I'm glad that yeah, it's not immediate catharsis. Yeah, that's I was looking for immediate catharsis. I was looking for them to track down that one guy and put Legos in his shoes. Like, I was expecting that. I was expecting little imps to appear every time he even like glanced at a television or any type of technology. A little imp would come and just poke him with a needle. Or everything in his house would just randomly break, because why not? It may not be the most amazing catharsis we could have ever had, but I did enjoy it. Right? Did you enjoy it? My lovely viewers, did you enjoy it? I hope you did. Is there like another one? Is there one more in the series, or is that it between these two? Let's have a look. Oh, this one's gonna be long, y'all. I can't even see where it begins. So we'll read a little bit of this one, and then we will continue. So these were a part of the fire suppression department canon. Okay, that's different, I'm assuming. Ads will be starting in 3 minutes and 28 seconds. So, feel free to get up and get some water, give yourself a stretch, and get yourself all nice, and get yourself a hot drink for me, and I'll meet you back here in a couple minutes time. If you're interested in similar stories, that would be where to look, but they're generally a bit on the grim side from what I understand. Okay, so let's read this one then. This is the 7 levels of Site 17. We're only going to read the first couple of levels, and then obviously, because today is the shortest stream, if you couldn't tell, we will definitely be back later. Alright. But before we do that, yeah. So what's on everybody's week this week? I hope you all are prepared. The new week has arrived. The new week has appeared. It exists now. Ads are getting ready to show up in 2 minutes, as I said. Let's see. I think this week I'm probably going to be doing a lot more of Live 2D, and excuse me, I'm doing a lot more 3D. A lot more 3D work. Oh my goodness. I have some editing to do. So much editing to do. Oh boy. Yeah. So much editing to do. Yeah. I hope you guys like what I'm able to do with that editing. I hope it's to your liking. There are a couple of videos, ASMR videos that I have planned that involve your surprise. So just be patient and good and patient, like I know you readers all can be, and I hope you enjoy it when it's ready. Oh boy. The thing I love most about SCP Sundays is that I always leave with that kind of warm feeling of not really finishing a story, but hearing a piece of it. SCPs are like delicious candies that everyone is different. Every piece of, I guess I want to say chocolate, every piece of chocolate is different, but it's still good. It's still a good piece of chocolate. I don't think I have read a bad SCP because they're all uniquely good in their own way. Let's see. As for my direct plans, I will put out that video that is in my backlog tomorrow. Then I will also work more on Live 2D. I want to see if I can manage to do a longer loop this time for this animation. I want to see if I can do a longer loop. And I'd like to see about tracking down some more music for us to listen to while we sit here. In addition, I want to figure out what I'm doing wrong as the detective in that the Menace of the Deep game. Like, clearly I'm missing something, right? I feel like I feel like I'm missing like a strategy. So I'm definitely gonna like explore that and see if it's something that I'm missing. But as for learning the game directly, you guys will see that on Wednesday. And by the way, if you are a VTuber and you're on my Oshi, I am also on there, and usually you can see my latest thoughts, usually about what I'm doing in WoW at the time. Yes, I play WoW. Yeah, I recently started playing WoW, actually. It has been, since you start in Dragonflight, it has been actually quite fun. Like, I have been enjoying myself immensely. It has felt like, a breath of fresh air. I love that, I love how alive the world feels. I love the dragons and the dragon stories. I loved how big and massive they feel. Equivalent exchange, I've also started playing FF14. See, I love that. I love that. Yes. That's just the way Yoshi P would have wanted. Because Yoshi P always says, if you feel like you don't want to play Final Fantasy, don't subscribe until you want to play Final Fantasy. Unfortunately, what they don't tell you is that if you have a house, you still have to subscribe. But if you don't have a house, then yeah, you can do whatever you want. Just go have fun. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I will say that the housing thing feels wildly anti-consumer. It sucks. It sucks. Let me tell you a tale. Let me play the let me tell you a tale. For those of you who don't play Final Fantasy or weren't playing Final Fantasy pre-Stormblood, let me tell you what happened. So I started in the middle of the patch quests, like at the last patch of Stormblood. That's where I started. Essentially, I have had to, with the old system, so in the older system, essentially, how it worked is, when the Stormblood housing was first introduced, if you were at the placard, so if you were at the house plot before anybody else, and you gave that placard your money, that was your house. That's how it worked. Right? That's how housing worked previously. If you were the first one there, when the placard activates, then you get the house. So, what happens when the house depreciates, or when you when you basically, when you sell your house is the question. What happens then? The house goes on a timer, and the timer could be 6 hours, could be 24 hours, could be 64 hours, but eventually the house will open. And remember, the house is first come, first serve, right? So, you had a bunch of people crowding around the placard to click on it, because the first person, this was ping dependent, the first person who put their money in first was the person who got the house. Now, I did this 6 times. I did that 6 times. But obviously not always for my house. I did it for someone else. Like, I would log into someone else's account and I would do it for them as a favor, because, you know, at the time my job wasn't really that strenuous on me, and most of the time I was in school doing that. I finished my work beforehand though. But yeah. Nowadays they switched to the lottery system, which I think is a little bit more fair for the most part. So how it works is that everyone dumps all their money into the pot. Whomever the game decides that the house belongs to is the person who owned the house. It's simple as that. You dump your money in one day, and then you come back a couple of days later to see who won the house. And if it's you, it takes your money. If it's not you, the game gives you back your money. Simple as that. Saves you from waiting around the placard. It's actually kind of nice. The only thing that I don't like is when it comes to FCs. You see, with FCs, everyone in your FC is able to pay into the plot. So, if you have a really rich FC, and you want one of the plots in Ishgard, maybe the ones near the really nice soaking hot tub area with the massage chairs, because, you know, you're a freak. So if you want that house, you're gonna have to pay 50 mil each time for each, like, maybe you're a really rich FC and you have like 24 members who have 50 mil to burn, essentially. You can dump that into that house, so this way you can increase your chances of getting it. Obviously, if your group's entry doesn't, I believe if your entry isn't the one that wins, you get your money back. But yeah, housing is hell in that game. I actually prefer WoW's housing, where you can essentially do whatever you want, because the housing is instance, and you can just come and go as you please, and you can make things bigger, and you can put things in the air, and you can kind of do as you wish. Sink things into walls, like, it's good. Yeah. But that is enough of my ranting on housing, and among other things in Final Fantasy XIV. Let's continue with the 7 levels of Site 17. We'll only probably be reading 2 here, so tuck in. February 2004. Surface level 15. Even in total darkness, Hayakawa could tell his office was spotless. He had always been a bit of a clean freak, but overcoming the single most important person at Site 17 had pushed that desire to the max. After all, as a director of the second largest facility in the Foundation, he needed to show the prestige of his position. Not that the appearance of his office mattered in this particular moment, with the door being locked and everything. Still, Hayakawa took some comfort in the gleaming white room as he shook 3 pills from a bag into his hand. Tossing them into his mouth and washing it down with a full cup of water, the director leaned back in his sofa as he waited for the drugs to take effect. "Let go to get in," the man whispered. It was a phrase he'd been told to recite to help activate the drug. "Let go to let in," he repeated, slowing his breathing. As he continued whispering the phrase, he allowed his mind to empty of all thoughts. After a few seconds, something in him clicked, and just like that, he felt a distinct disconnection between his mind and his body. It felt odd. This was the first time the director had taken the drug, and didn't know what to expect when entering the strange state described by the Class D. The only way to describe it was randomly waking up in the middle of the night, and the mind wasn't sure whether to go back to sleep or to get up. Standing, he slowly made his way over to his desk, his head spinning as if his body was moving before his brain was telling it to. The director felt like he could sense everything, the muted humming from the ventilation above, the snowflakes colliding with his window, the vibrations from his secretary typing away on her keyboard in the other room. Every disturbance or tremble in the air hit Hayakawa's body like rain during a downpour. The director practically fell into his chair when he reached his desk. From underneath, he pulled out a black suitcase. After quickly checking with a built-in detacher for any unauthorized electronics, Hayakawa snapped the case open and pulled out a laptop. He quickly verified his identity through a retinal scan, a thumbprint scan, and a voice confirmation. The black screen of the computer switched to an image of an elderly-looking man, hands folded in front of him. "Have you taken the necessary precautions?" 057 asks. "Yes," Hayakawa answered. "After nearly 1,200 trials, we confirmed the drug prevents any form of mind reading, even at the highest level reality benders." "Good." 057 relaxed a bit. "Now, what can you tell me about SCP-343? He claims to be God, and over the half of the site believes him." The councilman lets out a sigh. "This could cause an issue for us in the future. Have you taken the record of the religions of current GenSec agents?" "Not yet," Hayakawa replied. "I doubt it will matter. It's hard to be a Christian in this life, and even harder to be an atheist." 057 rebutted. "The last thing we need is for a chunk of our GenSec to think we're keeping their Lord and Savior in containment." Hayakawa shook his head. "I'm afraid that's already begun. I'm getting reports of guards and researchers abandoning their posts to speak with 343. When questioned, they avoid answering why they felt it was so urgent to speak with him, and outright refused to disclose the content of what they spoke about." "Damn," 057 whispered. He sat in silence for a few moments, folding his hands in front of his chin. "How are you moving forward?" "For now, there isn't much we can do. We still don't know what 3433 wants, how powerful he is, or even how to properly contain him. I was going to assign Dr. Beck as the lead researcher, but this is a waiting game." 057 let out a grumbling sigh. Hayakawa knew that 057 was uncomfortable with his course of action, but as it stood, it was the only course of action. "Do you at least have an MTF on standby?" "Epsilon 10 is always on standby, but they're definitely out of the league here. I'm guessing Cleft is out of the question?" "We cannot keep relying on one man to resolve our high-level reality bender problems." 057 frowned and spoke in an annoyed tone. "Besides, Dr. Clef was recently promoted to vice-led researcher of SCP-01. He's far too busy to sit around 17 waiting for 34-3 to act." Hayakawa nodded. "The MTF command meeting is taking place right now," the director began. "I'll speak with Lambda 19 commander after and see if she can spare a division to remain at 17 for the time being." 057 didn't respond immediately, instead pressing his lips against his folded hands, contemplating Hayakawa's approach. "Very well," the councilman eventually said. "Monitor 343 and continue to question anyone who speaks with him. Inform me of any changes in 343's abilities or demeanor. In the meantime, keep this channel open. I want an update in a month." And with that, the screen went black, as 057 terminated the connection, leaving Hayakawa to look at his own reflection in the dark computer screen. Surface level 12. The commander of Delta 4 looked around impatient. Most of the people were here, and the few who hadn't arrived yet weren't that important. Anyway, Delta 4 continued, looking back at his colleague. Then he said to me, "What are you going to do? Make me clean the toilets with my toothbrush?" So I broke his arm. The commander of Zeta 9 laughed. "The best part is he tried to claim the subordinate abuse to HR. I'm sure it went over well. He was amnesticized and dropped in an alley by the end of the week," Delta 4 said. Zeta 7 chuckled again before sighing. Some agents. I wonder how they even get recruited in the first place." "I don't know, but if he talked back to his sergeant like he did to me, I understand why the Army gave him to us." Delta 4 let out a sigh and gazed around. In the middle of the conference room was a large circular table. Sitting at the table was almost every MTF commander, with a nameplate giving their task force designation and a small monitor erected from the table. When Delta 4 had first attended an MTF command meeting, he had questioned why the Foundation would allow so much of high command to be in one place at one time. A goal attack or a bombing would completely cripple the organization. However, it wasn't long after that the command realized why these meetings were held here. Site 17 was apparently the most secure site in the entire Foundation, or at least the single safest site for personnel. Site 19 is technically more secure, but it also has God knows how many anomalous creatures and monsters stored in its depths. A containment breach at Site 19 often leads to dozens, if not hundreds, of deaths. A containment breach at Site 17 saw maybe a few injuries. It varied, of course, but on average, 17 was a lot less deadly. "You think Parker's going to push for more budget changes?" Zeta 9 asked. "Of course he will," Delta 4 replied, his voice blanketed with a mild bitterness. "He always does." As Delta 4 spoke, he shot a glance over at a gray-haired individual sitting a bit right across from him. He seemed to be reading through a sheaf of papers, most likely some MTF-related statistics. In front of the man was a nameplate reading Omega 1. "All right, everyone," a voice said through the wall-mounted speakers. "We're going to get started in here." The conversations that had been flooding the conference room silenced as the commanders straightened in their seats. Delta 4 turned towards the commander of Nu 7, who had been the one who had spoken, seeming like he had been chosen to lead this year's conference. "As always, 0511 has a statement he'd like to give before we begin." Delta turned toward the small monitor before him as the lights dimmed. For a moment, the dark screen crackled to life as a thin blue line appeared, stretching horizontally across its surface. "Good afternoon, commanders." A distorted voice came from the speakers as the blue line waved with the sound. "Firstly, congratulations to you all for another successful year. The veil is intact. Our enemies remain inferior, and our research continues to help us better understand the anomalies we keep in containment. Thanks to your contribution, the Foundation continues to be the strongest organization, not just with the anomalous community, but within the world." Delta 4 lifted his chin a bit, taking pride in 0511's remarks. "With that being said, there are still areas that we can improve our effectiveness. particularly in budgeting. Fuck. Budgeting had always been the source of debate at these MTF command meetings. Hell, even outside of it. Delta 4 was constantly getting emails to support spending reform proposals, but by far the biggest proponent of budget reform was Parker. And not only that, he had made it abundantly clear that the Delta 4 task force would be the first thing to lose all of its funding. According to Parker, Delta 4 wasn't just inefficient, it was a drain. He believed that an MTF tasked with rushing headfirst into a situation to find out what's going on was a total waste of manpower and resources. Now, to Parker's credit, Delta 4 did have the highest casualty rate of any force. However, this was surprisingly the price that had to be paid to get the job done. It wasn't preferable, but the Delta 4 commander wasn't going to kid himself with the delusions of another way. Not like Parker, who insisted that decommissioning Delta 4 and redirecting its funding to help the other task forces get in quicker was the better option. Zeta 9 was another task force that Parker wanted to cut funding to. Apparently, he believed that an anomaly being located underground or in an enclosed space wasn't a situation unique enough to warrant an entire MTF. Similar to Delta 4, Parker believed the best course of action was rerouting the funding from Zeta 9 into making other task forces themselves more adept at exploring enclosed areas. This mutual dislike of Parker led Delta 4 and Zeta 9 to form a sort of alliance against the Omega 1 commander. And while those particularly were in staunch opposition to anything that came out of Parker's mouth, there was no shortage of MTF commanders that found the man distasteful. Mainly in that Parker was a skip hugger. He would constantly send Omega 1 detectives to investigate ethical violations at 17. It rarely got far. Of course, the mere audacity Parker had to do such a thing pissed Delta 4 off. Oh well. At least Parker stayed neutral on the ethics committee's politics. He never demanded change or refused to enforce committee rules, something that Delta 4 had to admit that he respected, unlike that stupid soulless club that has been gaining momentum these past few months. I understand that spending is a debate this floor is all too familiar with, 0511 continued. And I understand that some painful decisions will need to be made. However, the fact remains that our budget is becoming less flexible, not just for MTF, but the Foundation as a whole. This past year saw a record of new anomalies classified as SCP objects. More anomalies means more containment procedures to fund. More funding to other SCPs means less funding to you. It is time to cut some fat out of the MTF spending for the sake of us and for the sake of humanity. And with that, the blue line ceased movement, and after a few moments later, the screen went to black as the light brightened. Great, Zeta 9 whispered to Delta 4. Parker's gonna take this as a call from God to push his decommissioning agenda. I know he is, Delta 4 replied, glancing at Parker. The Omega 1 commander looked at him at the same time, and for a moment, the two made eye contact. Are we still able to block his proposals? Yeah, he said after a moment. Parker's made plenty of enemies in the office corps. I say we're sitting at a good 65-30 people who don't like Parker to people who like Parker ratio. Good. Delta 4 leaned back in his chair as the new 7 commander prepared to continue the meeting. Good. Alrighty. I think Let's see how long this one is. I think this one's a little long. I think we can read this and then we'll come back to it next time. Alright. Yeah, we can just read this and we'll come back to it next time. Or maybe we'll read something different. Who knows? Surface Level 4. Class Privileges. When it comes to containing humanoid objects at Site 17, no size fits all. While yes, this does refer to an object's safety type, it also refers to how much freedom an anomaly is allowed to have on the site. Below are the different privilege classes you might find an object has. Object Class 1. This object is hostile towards Foundation personnel, whether this be physically attacking or threatening to attack site staff. Site 1 anomalies, or rather Class 1 anomalies, are limited to solitary confinement, prohibited from leaving its cell, outside of the bathroom usage twice a day, prohibited from socialization perks, restricted to dietary rations, prohibited from wearing plain clothes, no anonymity access. Class 2. The object is uncooperative with Foundation personnel. This ranges from simply refusing to comply with testing or attempting to breach containment. Class 2 anomalies are limited to Type C humanoid containment cells, prohibited from leaving its cell. A toilet and sink are included in the Type C cells. Limited socialization perks, restricted to pre-selected list of dietary options. Prohibited from wearing plain clothes. No anonymity access. Class 3. The object is either cooperative, but properties are too dangerous to be let out of its cell, or it has shown reluctance in cooperating with the Foundation. It should be noted that most newly contained humanoid beings begin at Class 3, regardless of cooperation during acquisition. Class 3 anomalies are limited to Type B humanoid containment cell, only allowed to leave its cell during certain hours. Limited socialization perks, allowed to request food available from the SCP cafeteria, prohibited from wearing plain clothes. Limited anonymity access. Class 4. The object is cooperative with Foundation personnel. Class 4 anomalies are limited to Type A humanoid containment cell, allowed to freely leave its cell as long as it is escorted by GenSec and stays within designated locations. Socialization perks, allowed full access to the SCP's cafeteria, allowed to wear plain clothes. Anonymity access. Class 0 and Class 5. Along with the 4 standard listed above, there are 2 specialized privilege classes you may find certain objects classified under. These 2 classes are Class 0. The object is considered too dangerous to be kept conscious. As such, will be placed in a medically induced coma and contained in the heavy containment infirmary ring. Class 5. This object was a member of Foundation staff prior to developing anomalous properties. They essentially have unlimited privilege, barring anything that would be a security or information breach. Note, there are 2 instances in which an anomaly working for the Foundation may be denied Class 5 privileges. 1. Their property is too much of a risk to themselves and to others or to the Veil. 2. They were an anomaly prior to joining Foundation staff. Extensions and restrictions. There may be times where an SCP is described as having a class privilege that is extended or restricted. This means its current privileges are too nuanced to be assigned under a single class. For example, an object with Class 3 extended privilege may be limited to its cell during most of the hours and prohibited from wearing plain clothing, but have greater access to amenities and socialization perks. Similarly, an object with a Class 3 restricted privilege is limited to everything highlighted above, but may have a stricter dietary selection. Be careful to read an object's special containment procedures for particulars on extensions and restrictions. Alright. I think we can read a little more. Amelia blinked at her computer screen. She must have been staring at the page for at least an hour now. Fuck, she thought, leaning back in her chair. When Amelia decided to take a crack at rewriting Site 17 Guide to Humanoids, she thought it would be easy. She assumed she'd fill it with outdated regulations and procedures that were now obsolete. She assumed that it would be filled with outdated regulations and procedures that were now obsolete. She had quickly found out that this was not the case. Not that she found herself agreeing with a lot that was in here. Changes need to be made. Now, what was frustrating her is that she could understand why the guide said what it did. If she was understanding where the guide was coming from, even if she didn't agree with it, then convincing anyone of any changes would be impossible, especially when it came to the privileged classes. Those were too embedded in the site, the culture of 17. Even if she managed to rally support and petition for changes, it's unlikely anyone in charge would as so much entertain her. Amelia's focus was interrupted by a knock at the door. "Come in," she said, minimizing the window. Dante-san opened the door and peeked his head through. "Hello, Dr. Hayes." He smiled. "May I come in?" "Doctor!" Amelia said, standing in surprise. "Yes, please do." Dante-san stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. "Nice office," he said, looking around. "Much better than a cubicle with Eliza breathing down your neck, I bet." "You have no idea, James." Amelia sat and waved for the 2 chairs in front of her desk. "Please, sit." Dante-san did not sit, and sat becoming interested with a manga laying flat on top of Amelia's bookshelf. "I got your email," he said, not taking his eyes off the book. "I was about to ask you about that. Is that why you're here?" "It is." Dante-san looked back at her. "Unfortunately, I'm going to have to deny your request to transfer to light containment." "Oh," Amelia replied in a disappointed tone. Can I ask?" She trailed off as Dante-san took a seat. "Amelia, do you remember the week that Caleb died?" "Of course I do," she said in a less than professional tone. Dante-san straightened, and Amelia quickly realized her error. I'm sorry. Yes, I do." "Do you remember when I called you and I told you how often suicides happen here?" "Yes," Amelia said, as she thought back to their discussion. "On average, there are 12 separate attempts a year, with three of them being successful." "Correct." Dante-san exhaled softly and leaned back into his seat. What I didn't tell you was where the attempts take place. Tell me, which containment level do you suppose most suicide attempts happen?" Amelia didn't know. It was such an out-of-nowhere question. Heavy?" she guessed. And I'm going to pause momentarily because I believe ads are starting for you. Are you all enjoying this? I'm enjoying this little peek, this little look into Site into Site 17. It is interesting. I don't think it's directly connected to our story from before, but I think it's kind of interesting. As a little bit more of a peek into Site 17's history. Are you all enjoying your SCP Sunday today? I hope you all are feeling amazing, or at least as feeling as I'm amazing. Feeling as I am feeling it right now. Words are very hard. I hope you all are feeling good and comfortable and enjoying your Sundays. Oh my goodness. You all are amazing. And I hope you're doing well. Give me a second as I look up something. Where's my creator dashboard? Bam! We can keep this open, so this way we can see what's going on there. Alrighty. Oh wow, I'm really enjoying this I'm really enjoying this SCP today. I think it's interesting. 7-7 may have given me the kind of quiet catharsis that 7777 may have given me the quiet catharsis I needed. But just kind of reading about how unorthodox Site 17 is does give me a little bit of hope. I will say that we are only going to be reading a little bit more of this before heading off and sharing our love to someone else. Although, you all have to promise me something. That you enjoy the rest of your weekends. That you eat something delicious if you haven't already. And that you be good to one another. Promise me that. Alright. Let's continue. Dante-san shook his head. Heavy containment is usually reserved for the inmates that try to kill others, not themselves. Light containment, on the other hand, is typically where the cooperative inmates are kept. They listen to the Foundation, so the Foundation rewards them with anemones and socialization and decent food and so on. He waved his hand at the last part. Amelia was starting to get where Dante-san was going. Medium, she said. Medium containment is where most of the suicides happen? And it's not even close. Dante-san replied. Of the 7 suicides I've seen in my 15 years here, 5 were from medium. Inmates kept at medium are 4 times more likely to try and hurt themselves, which is exactly why I denied your request. Amelia. Dante-san leans forward and folded his hands. Why do you want to be transferred to light containment? Amelia didn't respond immediately. reluctantly giving an honest answer. After a few moments, she opened her mouth, but hesitated in speaking. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. Dante-san said, please be honest. I don't like Dr. Eliza, she finally replied. She's way too strict with inmates, only approves containment procedures that are far too harsh, and it's just so dehumanizing, even by Foundation standards. Recently, I've had to fight tooth and nail just to get my clients different reading material or more food options. And you wish to be transferred to light, because I will grant your requests. Dante Tenson leaned back and tapped his fingers. Yes, I mean, you actually care about the inmates in light. Eliza doesn't. I can't keep anyone from... Amelia sighed and looked down. How can I keep anyone alive if I can't get them what they need? Dante Tenson sat in silence, staring at Amelia. It was clear to her that his attention wasn't really on her, instead being lost in deep thought. Say I did accept your transfer. What would happen to your current clients? Well, Amanda straightened. I was going to pass them over to Dr. Daniels. He's just as good with inmates as I am, and he has my full confidence. Besides, I was going to use him as a middleman to keep in contact. Let them know I still care, even though I'm not no longer their counselor. And your plan was to take on a new load of inmates and be partially involved with your old ones. Amelia nodded. That is certainly some level of dedication. A level light could absolutely use, but one medium needs more. Amelia, have you been aware of the inmate statistics for these past few months? She shook her head. The rate of successful suicides have more or less remained relatively the same, at least for medium containment. However, self-harm and suicide attempts have been on a steady decline. That's great to hear, Amelia replied. But what is that month that saw the first decline in self-harm? Dantison interrupted. Was the first month you formed the Solace Club. All words in Amelia's throat stopped dead in their tracks. The Solace Club was just a small group of researchers and doctors in medium containment that were more humanizing towards inmates than the status quo would like. She had formed it after Caleb had died. Together, the group would petition for certain changes to policy, or at least that's what they'd hoped to do someday, as so far all of their requests have been denied. But still, the group brought a sense of community to comfort the inmates that kept in medium. You and your club have dedicated so much to making the lives of inmates better, Dantison continued, and the results are starting to show. That is why I denied your request. Medium is in desperate need of people like you, Amelia. But Eliza, I know. Dantison leaned back in his seat. Elizabeth is cold. I've worked with her before, and I can't say we see eye to eye on how to treat the inmates here. She is very by the book, and unfortunately, the book tells us to be uncaring towards the people who are being kept here. Exactly, Amelia motioned to her computer. I've been trying to get reforms passed for medium, but she keeps denying them. I was hoping that if I transferred it to light, maybe I could pass reforms from there, and that it would trickle down into the other containment zones. Dante-san shaked his head, sullenly. I've been trying that for the past 15 years. Believe me, no amount of change in light will convince the other levels to follow. All you can do, is to keep trying to change things from within. Amelia opened her mouth to rebut, but slowly closed it, as she came to realize what Dante-san was saying. Sighing, she nodded gloomily. I see, she replied. Dante-san smiled, a sympathetic smile. I understand Liza can be difficult to work with. Just remember that you're already making changes, even if you can't see the results yet. He stood and made his way over to the door. Amelia stared into space before looking up at him silently. Keep up the good work, he said, before opening the door and stepping out into the hallway. He stopped, looking back before getting very far, though. Oh. If I may ask, what proposal did Eliza shoot down that made you send the transfer request? It was education for the children inmates. If we're going to keep them here, then we should at least continue the education they would have received as a civilian. Eliza denied it, saying it would be too expensive and too much of a luxury. Dante-san let out a quick laugh. Funny. You're the fourth person this week to be concerned with the inmate education. Huh? Amelia said. But by the time she had looked up, Dante-san was gone. And I think that is where we will leave it today. If you fell asleep or if you're still dreaming right now, do not worry. I will usher you on to the next stream. And if this is your last stop for the night, thank you for joining us, sweet readers. Now, let's tuck in and go for a nice little raid, shall we? Let's go ahead and see a harmless obelisk. It looks like they are reading A Clockwork Orange. You know? Let's hit them with a little bit of that hyper-violence, shall we? What is it? Don't be a droogie and let's go. And of course, thank you all for coming. I will see you on Wednesday. Good night, my readers. And good night, YouTube.